All right, speaking of invasive plants that aren't necessarily lethal to your dog, here we have a Himalayan blackberry. Unfortunately, this is not native. It was introduced and it is invasive in nature, but the berries still taste good. But that doesn't mean that it should be tolerated because they wrap themselves around trees. Look at the thickness of the vine. It's a little more robust than a Californian blackberry. Oh, that's good. Foraging on these blackberries kind of makes me think about the difference between wildlife and livestock. That's good. You see how not all the berries are ripe at the same time. A wild animal come through here, eat a few, and move on. And the plant isn't completely wiped out. And there's something for other animals to eat when they come through. Now, livestock, unfortunately, when they come through, they eat everything. They stay in one spot until it's all eaten, which means, as an added consequence, that they trample the shit out of everything under their feet because they aren't just lightly moving through. So they've eaten everything and they've crushed everything under their feet. And they didn't belong there in the first place, from the standpoint of being native or not. We humans don't really think too much about that. We don't think it's such a bad thing because we kind of do the same thing. We're like, oh, well, here is land and I want that land and I will take that land. I will chop everything here down and grow whatever crops I want and I want only. Completely unnecessary from a coexistence standpoint. You can have a myriad of different plants, allow them to grow amongst each other and share them with other animals and still survive. But we don't live with the earth. We're really on it like a parasite. But anyway, I wasn't trying to talk about how terrible we are. I was talking about how terrible livestock are. But the two are connected. Livestock wouldn't exist without us, and they certainly wouldn't be spread to the extent that they are without us. And people talk about, trying to fence wild animals in and force them to behave like livestock. That's not how wild animals work. They want to roam. They desire to roam. They desire to cover large amounts of territory. And whatever that reason is, whether that is to find a mate, whether or not it's to follow the seasons, whether it's to keep finding food, or whether Mother Nature put that in them so that they wouldn't destroy the land and would instead pass lightly over the land. Whatever the reason is, that works. But livestock we fence in, and we put in way too many of them than should be there. And these animals are too big, and we force them to produce products such as a dairy cow on a ridiculous level, way unnatural amounts, which means that they have to eat and drink even more. And because they're fenced in, and sometimes they're allowed to roam, but it's still within a fenced area, that means they spend even more time concentrated in an area damaging more, which again is not what wildlife want to do, and the elk at Point Reyes, even the ones that they aren't planning on killing, are still confined in an unnatural manner. Imagine the males that like get kicked out of the herd, or they're supposed to go and find their own herd or go find their own female. Where are they going to go? They hit a fence. You know, talk about some confusing social issues.